Good day. This is Andy Hebert with TALRadio, and today we have a special guest, Jorge Valencia with Point Foundation. Jorge began his tenure at Point Foundation as Executive Director and CEO in January of 2007, and he brings a wealth of experience in managing and growing nonprofit organizations, a proven ability to design and manage the infrastructure of expanding organizations, and extensive experience with sensitivity to lesbian, gay, and bisexual or LGBTQ youth issues. Jorge served as the president and executive director of the Trevor Project as well from 2001 to 2006. He has a great understanding of the community and the needs of these individuals and is very welcome to the program. So thank you, Jorge. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to give your own intro, Jorge, and just tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll get into some other questions?
Sure. It's a little bit all over the place in terms of my background. I began my professional career working in the music industry, then worked in the Clinton administration as a political appointee before moving to Los Angeles. And in Los Angeles, I worked for a nonprofit organization that worked with young people that were sophomores in high school. It's the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Foundation. So did that for a little bit and then moved into the private sector after that, working for an affinity marketing company before making my way into the LGBTQ space, working with the Trevor Project, which is the National Suicide Prevention Helpline for questioning teens. And now I've been at Point Foundation. And of course, our mission is to support LGBTQ students in their pursuit of a higher education.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. And thank you for doing what you do. And I'm sure you're helping a lot of lives. And so your concentration right now is with the youth population specifically?
Yes. Well, when it comes to higher education and LGBTQ students in higher education, we're supporting individuals of any age. And so that is, graduating high school seniors that are looking to go into either a 4-year or community college program, as well as individuals that are in their graduate, even postgraduate pursuit. Okay.
And I guess since you have joined, I'm not sure what it looked like before, but since you have joined the establishment, what are some of the significant changes that you've brought to the program or milestones you've achieved over the past X years?
Sure. So, from 2007 to now is a long time. It feels like a long time. So thankfully, with the help of some wonderful board members, supporters, and team members, we've seen quite a bit of growth. So to start with, the organization began supporting individuals that were in a 4-year or graduate program. Since then, we've expanded our support to include community college students. We've also expanded our support to help BIPOC students who really have dealt with, racism, systemic racism in education. And that is something that we are very proud of and continue to work hard to help more individuals through a higher education. And then we also give out these one-time grants. And so programmatically, when it comes to scholarships, that piece has grown. We also have a component of mentoring, which we believe in and really vital to students' pursuit and success. We also have expanded to include leadership programming. We believe, especially in the climate that we're in right now, that it is important that we have individuals with the desire to lead in all aspects of our economy. And so we support individuals in all fields. And those are some of the ways our growth in terms of scholarships alone. In 2002 was the first scholarships that Point Foundation awarded. At that time, there were 8 scholarships, I know. And it's funny to hear the founders talk about how when they started the Point Foundation, they wondered whether anybody was even going to apply. I think that first year, everybody that applied got a scholarship. So it was 8 scholarships.
Yeah.
And up until 3 years ago, we were very proud of our, growth, and, it was a steady growth, but 3 years ago, we were supporting 80 students. And then it went from 80 students in 1 year to over 400. And then
goodness.
500. Wow. And this coming year, we're going to be supporting over 574 students. So we are really, really thrilled with that growth alone.
Yeah, that's amazing. And do you personally, I'm sure you do, but you personally feel that you're touching each individual, even though you may not be in constant contact with them, but or do you? Do you reach out to each individual, or is it just kind of a group?
Are you asking me personally?
Yeah, or people within your group.
Yeah. It is one of the pains of growing, right? It's a growing pain to go from really kind of knowing in a way, or having touch points with all 80 students that we supported just 3 years ago.
Right.
And when I started, we had something like 30 students, and so it felt as though at that point you really could get to know people individually.
Yeah.
When you get to the 400 mark and even 500, it is quite difficult because, one, our students are across the United States. But where I do have an opportunity to meet with them is when we have conferences that they're able to attend, or we do some sort of virtual event. And at least in that way, I do get to see them. I do read applications, so I know who is applying. I'm one of many individuals that apply, but getting to know each one individually is a little difficult at this point.
No, I get it, but I can imagine, like you said, you see their resumes, you see their foundational skill sets, and you can understand them to some degree. So that's excellent. That's amazing. And as far as the programs and scholarships, are those 100% paid, or do they pay back? How does that work?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking that. So every one of our scholarship programs is a bit different in terms of the financial support. But the financial support is given as a scholarship or a grant. There is absolutely no requirement to pay back. We wouldn't take the money back. It is a full-on help for them in their pursuit of a higher education. Since our beginning, we have contributed over $50 million in support of our students attaining a higher education.
Wow. Is it 15 or 50?
50.
Wow. Amazing. That's great. I'm sure they're very, very appreciative of all that support. Prior to students finding out about you, do you have any feedback on, what their outlook was? Did they come to you, obviously with open arms? Were they struggling at some point?
Yeah, that's a great question as well, Andy, because, every student that applies, and we get over 3,000 applicants every year for a limited number of spots. So the need is great. The cost of education, we all know, is just crazy. When I went to school, and let me tell you, it's like I think I don't think that would pay even for half a semester somewhere now, but it was quite different. So the cost of education continues to rise, but specifically when you're looking at LGBTQ students who have a more difficult time in high school, the challenges that they face are quite different than their heterosexual peers. When you look at high school students, LGBTQ students are 3 times as likely to drop out of high school just to escape the harassment and the bullying. And so when they have a desire to get to school and then they're not competitive in applying for a 4-year institution because of a terrible high school experience, that's when we're able to support students in community college, as an example. And so when they come to Point, many of them come because they either don't have the support of their families or their communities, but they have the same dreams as every other kid in this country. to
Exactly.
do better and to have a higher education. And so that's why we also feel that mentoring and support of a community is so important for them as well. So to answer your question, when they do come to us, they come because there is some level of need, financial, community, role models. There is some need there.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I totally get it, and can appreciate that. And so, tell me a little bit about the scholars after they've gone through the program. Do they come back to you and talk about any leadership development positions with you specifically? Or are they looking to just go and get out into the job world or whatever they're looking to venture out into?
That's interesting, because I have had that benefit, and I love it, because I have the privilege of seeing young people apply for a scholarship. I get to see them as they go through school and graduate. And to see that growth and maturity is something that is immeasurable, for me in my role. But I'm very proud to say that so many of our alumni come back and serve as mentors for our current scholars. They're involved as members of our board of directors. They're involved in donating to the organization, or holding local fundraising, or on host committees. They come back and speak at some of our seminars and conferences. So really, we do look to them. And truthfully is that they come to us as well. They want to give back to an organization that supported them. That's, knock on wood, never been a problem. And I only wish we had a place for every single one of them, because they really go on to do some amazing things. The other thing too is that, for our current scholars or young people that are looking to see what may be in the future for them, they're able to look to some of our alumni who are award-winning filmmakers. They are educators. They are lawyers. One of our alumni who has, presented a case to the Supreme Court twice now. We had the youngest, LGBTQ mayor elected in our history, and so we do have some wonderful, wonderful role models for our current scholars.
That's excellent. So at the end of the day, you're giving to them, they're giving back as much as they can or want to. So, and that's critical, and that's really awesome to hear. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, collaborations or partnerships, that you have, that help support the workers or the people at that point. Can you talk a little bit about that?
We have the privilege of having some wonderful partnerships, whether it's with, other nonprofit organizations, with some educational institutions, with corporations and foundations, and of course, individuals who really step up to help the growth that we've seen and help our students. So when you look at, for example, the corporate environment, we have and rely on those partnerships to help get many of our students through schools. And we have partnerships with like the Wells Fargo, we have with JCPenney, we have Coach, we have Dolce & Gabbana. I mean, you name it. When you look across the board, we have so many partnerships that we're proud of, that not only support the scholarships, but they support our leadership training, they support our mentoring. They also help fund growth for internal support of our students. Going from 80 students to supporting over 500, we need an infrastructure that's strong, that can sustain that growth. And many have been very gracious in their support of internal operations. So that is very helpful to us.
Yeah, no, that's great. And is that, globally, or is that in the Americas only, or how does that branch out?
It's interesting because our scholarships do support international students that are studying in the United States. So they need to be at a 4-year institution that is accredited. Okay. So when you look at the support that we get from partnerships, they tend to be partnerships that are based in the U.S. or at least have some representation or offices here in the States. but we really support individuals from around the world that seek a higher education here in the United States.
Very nice. Very nice. And just getting back to the student level, I'm just curious, from the beginning of the process, how much does a student take on to contribute to, I don't want to say they're writing the grant, et cetera, but how much of the student's time is dedicated to their own progress, I guess, or is that even a thing?
Are you asking about the application process or their own progress through school? Just so I get some clarity.
I guess the application process. I mean, I guess more so that, or are you there to do that part for them or on behalf?
No, they go in and apply for one of our scholarships. Different scholarships have different requirements. Some of them have specific GPA requirements. As an example, the only one of our scholarship programs that does not require a GPA is our BIPOC scholarship program. And the reason being that, unfortunately, systemic racism, in education begins as early as elementary school. And for many students of color that live in specific, communities, they don't even have the opportunity of a second year of algebra. And it makes it difficult for them to be competitive or, in a higher environment, higher education environment. So what we do require for our BIPOC scholarship program is proof of enrollment at a community college or four-year institution, as well as a desire to get a higher education. That program is also, and by the way, it was interesting and very grateful to Katy Perry and Wells Fargo that helped us launch that BIPOC program about 2.5 years ago. It went from supporting 24 students in the first year to over 250 this coming year. But that program is also one that is open to part-time students because we understand that going to school full-time is a privilege in and of itself. And that scholarship is offered twice a year. So they fill out the application. Some of them are a little longer than others. They provide the necessary information for us and the readers that go through all of the applications. We have over 100 volunteer readers across the country that help us get through those applications.
Wow, amazing. That's great. And you talked about community support. So from the Point Foundation's mission, how can people and community, get involved or contribute to what you're doing if they wanted to?
It's a fairly young organization. I mean, we've been around 21 years. Still, it's pretty young compared to other scholarship organizations. We're probably one of the youngest, if not the youngest. And so there's always room for volunteers. As I was just mentioning, Andy, that we rely on over 100 volunteers to read applications. When you have 3,000 applications to get through, we need a lot of people helping us get through that. All of the training is done and provided for our readers. Every application goes through about 2 to 3 reads to make sure that the applicant gets the best, chance as possible in somebody reading their application. So we need readers, we need mentors. We're always looking for financial support if somebody may wish to support any one of our programs. There are some people that are really eager to see, LGBTQ students succeed in their own alma maters. And so, as an example, I went to Brigham Young University. I grew up Mormon, a school that has its own, experience with LGBTQ students. And while things have changed for those that identify as members of our community, there is still a need for support and community at BYU or other institutions across the country. Sure. And so we're always looking for support in any way.
Right. No, that's great. That covers most of the points that I was trying to understand. So I guess looking ahead, you may have some short-term goals and some long-term future goals and initiatives. Can you give a taste for that, or just a little bit of thought?
Absolutely. We are currently piloting a program with Bumble and Bumble, another big supporter of ours, to support students that are seeking certification in trade school through cosmetology, as an example. To us, as an organization, it is important that there is representation in every sector. And so we are looking to expand our support and pilot more programs that will allow individuals to be better prepared to succeed and thrive in the workplace environment. So whether it's trade school, whatever that may be, we are always open, to conversations with groups, with individuals. So if there is a longer term growth, it's to continue supporting students in pursuit of advancing their knowledge, their education in a number of ways: four-year institutions, graduate, community college, trade schools, always looking to that and to continue supporting more and more students.
Excellent. So last question I had. So being a student that may or may not know or how to get access to you, do you do outreach programs, or how does that work?
We do outreach programs. It really depends. I'll tell you, if there is an outreach that we want to continue doing and need to do more so, it's for LGBTQ students that are in the southern states, Midwestern states. I mean, places where their communities aren't very accepting at times. We want to let them know that we are around. For the most part, thanks to the internet, somebody can Google LGBTQ or gay scholarships, and as the largest scholarship provider for LGBTQ students, we're on that list, and they're able to apply and hopefully find some support from us.
Right. No, that's great, right? And just amazing work and a great cause. And I'm sure these students are greatly appreciative of what you do, and I personally am. Everybody has their struggles, and everybody's going through something at one point in time in their lives, and it's just really great to have somebody like you in the organization to help out and lend a hand when needed. So it was great talking with you. Do you have any closing points that you'd like to make?
Andy, the honor was all mine. I thank you for this opportunity, and I can say that for our staff, for our board members, our volunteers, it is not only an honor, but it is a privilege to do the work that we do. We understand that, as you mentioned, everybody's experience is different. Sure. And today, in this environment, there is a lot of uncertainty among our LGBTQ young people, and I want them to know that we're here for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish everybody had that sentiment. I know I do. So I might personally get involved in some degree. So I appreciate your time and all the information, and thank you so much for all the hard work that you and your group does. Yeah. So signing off for today, TALRadio. Appreciate it, Jorge, and great meeting you. And keep up the great work. Thanks so much.